The Islamic Golden Age. Traditionally dated from the 8th century to the 14th century, during which Muslim rulers established one of the largest empires in history, was a period of cultural, economic and scientific flourishing in the history of Islam. A common feature during the Islamic Golden Age was the large number of Muslim polymath scholars. During the Islamic Golden Age, polymath scholars with a wide breadth of knowledge in different fields were more common than scholars who specialized in any single field of learning. Notable medieval Muslim polymaths included Ibn Sina, like we mentioned before, Ibn Rushd, Abbas, Ibn Firnas, Ibn al-Haytham, Ibn al-Nafis, Ibn Khaldun, al-Khawarizmi, and many other different scholars. Now, although the Islamic Golden Age has such a beautiful and rich history, one thing that I wanted to talk about in this video specifically is the polymaths and the scholars of the Islamic Golden Age and how they were able to be so productive even though they had the same amount of time as us living on the face of this earth, or even less than that, and talk about some of the secrets of productivity that they have used to not just master one field but many different fields and be the scholars and polymaths that they are, and the history behind them, and kind of how the days were structured for them to be able to fit so much in within this 24-hour period. Now, one of the things that a lot of the scholars of the past used to do is that they would used to go to sleep early and then wake up early. Now, this is actually something that I've been doing pretty much my whole life, and generally, I think it's probably one of the best when it comes to the this entire productivity thing. Is really a very good secret when it comes to productivity, because at night time usually what happens is that because you've been going out the entire day, you've been doing a lot of stuff, at night time you're pretty tired and your memory skills and your concentration and everything is pretty low. And what happens is that night time is normally for you to relax and sleep, and if you were to go to sleep at night time earlier, then you can just wake up earlier in the morning and you're more energized and you can basically do all of this stuff and memorize well, go over your homework or whatever you need to do, and it becomes much easier. Whereas at night time, usually after 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the evening, at 10 o'clock, people are normally not productive and you're really tired and your body really did come sort of to its limit. Now, a lot of people do like to revise at night time and they tend to do really well with it, but the general public, usually what happens is that at night time you're pretty tired, and after an entire day of work, it's probably more wise for you to go sleep early, especially because at night time normally after 8, 9 o'clock people are not really productive and they spend time, a lot of the times the time that they spend is just wasted. So going to sleep early or waking up early is definitely one of the secrets when it comes to productivity. Now, one of the traits of the polymaths also used to be that they used to ask a lot of questions. Now, bear in mind that asking questions is actually a pretty good thing. Now, a lot of the times people don't ask questions because the confidence is not that high. They're in a place where there are so many people, but putting yourself off your comfort zone and being in a lecture theater or being in any place in a class and putting your hand up and asking questions because there is a topic, there is something that you don't understand, that you want to understand more, and to get rid of the doubts that you have in your mind relating to a certain topic is actually something great. It increases your confidence level, it makes you go off your comfort zone, and also it makes you understand something more and makes you have less doubts. And a lot of the scholars in the past would ask a lot of questions to the teachers so that they could get the most out of the teachers and learn all of their knowledge and get it within them and clear themselves of any doubt that they have in a specific topic or field, and that would allow them to understand the topic at hand much better and be able to relate to it more as well. Now, asking questions is definitely something so important, and it does allow us to develop ourselves further. But one thing that scholars would also do is that they would retain this information, and for them to retain this information that they would learn and educate themselves further and increase their memory and the productivity, is that they would try and use different methods of learning, such as visual learning, auditory learning, kinesthetics, all of this together, and they would try to put it in together. So for example, there is a saying that they say that the more senses that you use, the more likely you are to remember something. And basically what they would do is that, for example, let's say when it comes to the memorization of the Quran, they would look at it and then they would read it. So they are looking at it, they're using the eyes. Then when they are testing their friends, what they would do is that they would listen to a different person recite it and they would use their ears. Then what they would do is that they would use their hands and they would write them down. So using all of these different things, all of these different senses enhances to develop a person further and to come to a point where they can retain the information that they learn and increase their memory is also one of the traits that a lot of the scholars used to have. And we know that scholars used to write and write and write books upon books upon books, and this would take them so much time, but at the end of the day, because of all of these senses that they're using and they're engaging themselves so much to these different fields, it would allow them to remember the stuff more, and that's why they were able to be such crazy memorization machines, or whatever you want to call them. Now, exercising is definitely a must, and when I say exercising, I don't mean go to the gym, pick up some heavy weight and stuff like that. That's not what I necessarily mean. But a lot of these scholars, the way they would exercise is that they would always be traveling a lot to go very far to gain that knowledge. Now again, that's not necessarily the case in our day and age with everything being online, but this is one of the things that they used to do. They used to travel a lot, walk around, and like run around a little bit as well. So they were always like physically active in general. Also remember, a lot of these scholars would stay up at night time. They would be standing in prayer for many hours, or at least like a third or like a fifth of the night. So they would be spending a good amount of time staying up and praying. And also the 5 daily prayers, they would be going to the masjid praying. So the physical activity was definitely there, and there are definitely so many studies even in today's day and age which show how important exercise is, and studies that show, based on meta-analysis and everything, that fitness allows a lot of people to be in a position where their learning capabilities and their memorization capabilities have increased due to the amount of physical activity that they receive. So there is some sort of link definitely when it comes to fitness and how productive you are, or how well you're able to study and understand and educate yourself and memorize. Another thing about the scholars and polymaths is they were actually autodidactic people. In other words, they would be there to teach themselves. Now, obviously, having a teacher with you and teaching you properly and being there on the journey with you, I think is extremely important, and I would highly consider it. However, one thing to note is that a lot of the times, because these polymaths were trying to learn many different fields and they were constantly engaged in some sort of educational activity, what would happen a lot of the times is that they didn't necessarily find a teacher, or it took them some sort of time to find a teacher. So what they would do is that they would teach themselves from experiments, from just going and reading a lot of books and like doing their own experiments and all sorts of stuff really in general. So what happens is that having this sort of characteristic where you can teach yourself is very important, because it allows you to gain knowledge constantly without having to rely on someone or something in general. But yeah, that's pretty much the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and most importantly, I hope you guys took some sort of benefit from the video and kind of understand some of the ways that a lot of the scholars were able to be productive, and some of the things and secrets of productivity and characteristics that they had in order for them to achieve all of the things that they have achieved. I'll leave some links down in the description below for you guys to read some very interesting articles. Also, check out my socials, links will be down there in the description below. Follow me on my socials, do all of that stuff, and make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share the video out if you feel like it was beneficial. And as always, I'll see you in my next video. Take care, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.